The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Hey everybody, this is Jay Tirana in space. How you doing, eh? Today I am joined by very special guests for a conversation about NFTs. We have Valentine Kitchenzky. He's the co-creator of the THC Talking Head card collection. We have former technical educator of the Web3 Foundation, reluctant Kusama counselor, creator of Singular, and staunch member of the Grey Circle Club, Mr. Bruno Škvorc in the house as well.
Hello, hello.
And Moonbee, who's the creator of the Apes and Art collection and currently holds the title for creating the NFT with the highest ticket price on Singular so far.
I think it was the highest single selling NFT on Singular up to date, yes.
That is correct.
Incredible.
Hooray! A little bit of celebratory dance went down this morning, yeah.
Well, welcome everybody here to the chat. I'm really excited to talk to you all and give everybody some new perspectives on what NFTs are, what they could be, and where we're going. But I thought to start things off, the first question I wanted to ask everybody is, what was the first NFT you purchased?
A CryptoKitty in 2017 when they came out. So in the first NFT wave craze, I joined the hype of CryptoKitties. And that was the first real project I for real interacted with.
That's interesting. Do you still own that?
I do actually. I have a dozen Genesis CryptoKitties, Generation 0, never bred, that surprisingly aren't worth anything.
Oh, really? There's no market for CryptoKitties today?
There's it's miserable. It's below mint price of new PFPs coming out.
That's crazy that the CryptoKitties, they had such a big hype that it didn't carry over is kind of surprising to me. I mean, I'm not in the CryptoKitty world, but it is actually surprising to me.
It is. It's really strange, and in many ways they're they should be more valuable. I guess it's kind of the situation with supply. Technically, they're the first interactive NFT, which could do something more than just be a static image. You could breed them and create new ones. But then there's the supply issue. Like you have the Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example, which is like a direct successor to CryptoPunks, like a spiritual successor. And it doesn't do anything except give you drops and access to chat rooms. Mm-hmm. But it's more valuable because of that exclusivity and because of that other stuff and because it's only 10,000 copies. Whereas the CryptoKitties, you're basically unlimited. You can breed them as much as you want for as long as there are cats.
And CryptoKitties were the first real proper example of NFTs on the Ethereum chain, is that right?
No, they were the first popular example. The first ones were CryptoPunks. And even before them, there were Mooncats and CryptoCats, which had their little moment in the spotlight earlier this summer and commanded some pretty high prices themselves, but were soon abandoned for unknown reasons.
How about you, Moonbee? What was the first NFT you purchased?
I had to bring it up, and it was an autistic ape. And it's actually quite a funny story behind that because I was in the DAO and I saw those apes drop. And I think the first one was Hodl King. And the second one was a blue one. And I kind of like blue. That's why I'm keeping Baba Blue from my collection as well. And when I clicked to buy it, someone else was interacting with it. So I couldn't get it. And I thought, okay, I get the third one in the row. And same story again. Someone else was interacting with it already. And then I said, okay, screw it. I'll take number 4, no matter what it is. And pretty much got hooked with that purchase to NFTs. So I'm pretty, I'm a pretty freshman to the whole NFT world, if you could put it into a time perspective.
Damn, a short time to the top, my friend. Fantastic.
Well, it's a wild ride. What can happen in crypto, isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah, we shall see about the value of those. But the collection is continuing and it's interacting with the community. So I mean, they are fun. They're turning out better and better, and I'm happy to own number 4. Absolutely, or absolutely.
How about you, Valentine?
Actually, my first NFT is Canary Bird. So
Oh,
I mostly
nice.
like, yes, mostly we are producing art, and like I received some couple of pieces on Singular, but my first like purchased NFT is Canary Bird.
Amazing. And did you buy the bird off the market?
Yep. Actually, when the whole thing was happening, we were busy drawing these birds, and we missed the moment, actually. And then after a while, I decided to, okay, I will give it a try.
I think that's not the worst choice to lose your virginity to NFTs.
Absolutely.
Good choice, my friend. So, I mean, Jay, what about you? What kind of NFTs do you own? Which one was your first?
I haven't been big into NFTs yet. I mean, I'm very excited about them. I've been watching them. Part of the reason why I wanted to get you guys here together today was to learn more about them myself. But my first purchase was just after DeFi summer last August. And somehow I managed to come out of that with something. And I bought this piece by Gucci Ghost, fellow Canadian. And it is this pastel picture of Donald Trump. He's wearing this sort of in-living color pullover sweater, looking through sunglasses at a thick wad of cash in his hands. And the caption, I think, is, I'm going to take this 1200, flip it, and put it right back now, you hear? So I just grabbed that because I thought it was ridiculous and kind of represented the mania of that time.
That is very representative, yeah.
Yeah, I think we were talking about stimmies back then as well, so it's kind of fun.
Stimmy NFT.
So when we all went to approach our first NFTs, or we started wrapping our head around it, I mean, it kind of took me a little while to understand what was happening and understanding what was possible. I'm just wondering, what was it, or who was it, that made NFTs click for you?
I don't really remember. I think I immediately saw them as something more than JPEGs with CryptoKitties, but then everything after that was just JPEGs, so I stopped seeing them as more than JPEGs. And then as the NFT summer rolled up, I got super kind of annoyed with JPEG NFTs, and that's basically the whole story behind Remark. I wanted to build something that takes NFTs way further. So what made it click was just the boredom. I was so bored with NFTs on Ethereum, watching them just copy paste over and over again the same things. One almost identical profile picture project after another coming out, all just images, just 10K collections of images. So just this need for something more made it click for me more, essentially. And when I started thinking of the most complex use cases I could imagine with NFTs, like if you look at an NFT as just any row of arbitrary data, any row of any data all that's setting it apart from any other row of data is that you can cryptographically prove that you own this specific row of data. And that's it. And then if you think about what information that row of data can contain, then you really unlock the potential.
I mean, when you look at NFTs and how people usually see them, you Bruno, you are just miles ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, totally. It was watching you in the spring try to introduce this concept to everybody through the Canaria that things really started to go off in my head, and I thought, oh boy, we're in for something totally different than the fungible token standards.
Yeah, then again, like lessons learned. Having too many options and going into too many details can slow things down and prevent immediate adoption. If you just look at something as stupid as loot on Ethereum, that's just white text on black cards, but it's stupid enough for everybody to understand, right? And so, because you have such a stupid foundation, you can build smart things on it. And this is where all those derivatives came from. Now, granted, it's been like 2 weeks and 99% of those derivatives have died, and you can't really build anything on top of loot that doesn't require a custom UI and that will actually work and be functional in any standard marketplace on Ethereum, which is where standards like Remark come in. But in terms of communicating it to users and getting the community on board and passionate about it, Loot has really set a very, very interesting precedent and taught us all a very interesting lesson.
Can you give us just a quick overview of what Loot is and what it was trying to achieve?
Yeah, so Loot was a limited, again, collection of, I think, something like 8,888 or maybe even 10,000, I don't remember anymore. Basically, white words on black background, and these words were like treasure inventory from an adventure in a game. So it would be like leather gloves, golden crown, magic Bible of kick-assery, stuff like that would be in the collection, and everybody would get a random collection of stuff basically. And this would be kind of like your equipment, like if you had leather gloves, then this would be like the value of the hands field in the smart contract of the NFT. Just generally just a shopping list of items that you would see in a game, not even with visuals, just names of items. And the collection's author just explicitly said in the collection's description, this is simple on purpose, visuals are omitted on purpose, user imagination, and do whatever you want with this. And so the community did. They built, for everybody who had a loot card, this kind of identified you as like this member of the adventurer guild. You were one of the adventurers with loot then. And so everybody who had a loot card could also interact with a myriad of other contracts that came out of this movement. Like, for example, one guy made a smart contract that lets you mint a familiar, like a little magical creature, if you own a loot card. And another one came out, and again, this familiar was also just white text on a black background. It said like big powerful snake or whatever. Another guy came out with foes for adventurers. So you would, if you own a loot card, you'd be able to mint a list of foes that fight you. Another one came out with realms, then another one with castles, then another one with banquets, then another one with music and tunes for adventurers. And so everybody started minting something for adventurers. And so this universe kind of expanded into a big community of people who were building something for something else. So it kind of isn't, they called it composability, but it's not really composability. It's just being allowed to interact with a smart contract based on you having interacted with another smart contract before. But this was taken to a creative direction, which is why it was fun.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So everybody's working on the same foundation of credentials. If you have this, you have this style of hand or something like that in third parties' expressions of this magical world.
Kind of. Only things went kind of wrong and sideways, where the loot, because of these drops that were applied to loot, started to rise in value more and more. And then one guy came out with this adventurer gold concept where he allowed everybody with loot cards to claim 10,000 units of an ERC20 token, so just a fungible token, that he called adventurer gold. And he initially said, this is a community created currency for the loot project that's also going to be used for governance, which makes no sense, but you put in enough buzzwords and any project becomes successful. And so what a lot of people did, they claimed this adventurer gold, and so it started at like no value at all. And then because of this hype over loot and its general ecosystem that was evolving, some exchanges jumped on board and started listing this for all intents and purposes, this is a shitcoin. It was a centralized smart contract. It didn't even have open source like code that you could verify the contract. It was issued by one person, completely centralized thing, but it piggybacked on a very, very, very popular project. And so now you have OKCoin promising to list it, Stani from Aave in the ETH DeFi space saying it'd be interesting as collateral, and so on and so forth. And what happened is the Adventure Gold coins ballooned up to $6, which means that anybody who had loot in their card, in their inventory, in their wallet, basically got an airdrop of $60,000. And so then this inflated. I sold my loot, by the way, at 20 cents. And so this kind of made the loot balloon in value to the point where the floor right now is 6 Ether for a loot card, and it was 12 Ether at one point.
Madness.
Absolute.
So how about you, Moonbee and Valentine? You guys are both in pretty early in this new Kusama NFT space. What was it that made you guys think that, oh man, I can throw together some art and release a collection and get some people involved?
I think last year, when all the pandemic started, one of my friends, we worked together in advertising agency. He just told me about NFT. So I didn't know about the whole thing before that. So I started to read about it, and I tried to register. I think told me about NFT, and I understood that you should have some amount of cryptocurrency to actually mint something. And I didn't have too much followers on Instagram or on Twitter, because I was thinking, okay, I will mint 80 euros or something like that, and it will just stay somewhere in the dust. So I forget about it. And after a year, Yuri from the Remark team, he wrote me. I knew him before, and we also made some work together. So he told me about this project he's working on, and this Canaria contest has started, and he just threw me a link, and I decided to draw something, and also invited Groot and Vova from Digital Mirror. During the contest, Yuri also, he asked me, maybe you should mint something on Singular, give it a try. And I just went there and saw that there is nothing interesting happening. Lots of trash pieces were minted there. And after maybe a month, I decided maybe I should try. And I find some pieces I had, and just minted maybe 3 of them, and went to eat my breakfast. And after half an hour, I went back, and I saw that in my wallet there is a couple of Kusamas, and I understood that something's happening there. So, and then I thought maybe I should make something specifically for this Singular. And then I started to think, and this THT Talking Head collection, Talking Head cards, they just came to my head. And I talked with Nuridin, and he told oh, that's interesting, let's try. So it was a month before, in August, I think August 13, something like that. And then we started to draw this collection. And till that day, all cards are sold, and we have this last drop after a couple of days.
That's so crazy that you started pretty much just a month ago, and your collections are always sold out within the blink of an eye already.
Yes, it is scary, a bit scary when you just listing these works, and they are just going away in 1 minute, in 2 minutes. It's scary. It's exciting and scary.
Well, that's huge success for you, my friend. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, some of my favorite artwork on Singular right now, for sure. So Bruno, we have these artists pouring their creativity into these collections, sometimes getting a cult following, communities being built around them. But maybe you can give us a little taste of what the future of NFTs might be, where we might go from here, especially with the Remark 2.0.
Yeah, I think in maybe 2 or 3 years, all NFTs will be Remark NFTs in some form. So it's either going to be a clone of Remark on Ethereum or Remark itself, just because it doesn't make sense to use anything else. Everything else is just pointless. And where we'll go is, I think smart creators will capitalize on the cult following that they can build around stuff. The Bored Ape guys are really good at this. And I'm surprised to see that Larva Labs are actually really bad at this. So Larva Labs are the guys behind CryptoPunks, and then they later launched another official collection called MeBits. And those were, of course, sold out very quickly, but they haven't done anything with them since. Whereas the Bored Ape Club not only allows you to use your ape as much as you want for whatever you want. Like people have been, opening craft breweries and using their ape as a logo.
Oh, cool.
But you can also get these powerful drops because you have these apes. Like so if you have these apes, you get these airdrops of other NFTs. And so if you have an ape, a few months back, you could get like a dog companion NFT for the ape. These dogs are now at the lowest, their lowest value, their floor is now like 2.5 ETH. So you got an airdrop of $6,000, not bad. But then just like a month ago, they launched the Mutant Ape Yacht Club, where they distributed some kind of mutant serum NFT onto every ape holder. And if you burn that mutant serum, there were 3 types of serum, A, B, and C, and A was the most common, then was B, and C there was only 8 copies. And if you applied that to your ape by burning it basically in their UI, so this is not something smart, this is just literally burning it through their custom UI, and then they would mint you a new ape. You would get a new mutant ape alongside your main one, as if your ape drank the potion and cloned itself into a mutant. The people and these were randomly distributed, like you had a random chance to get either of the serum types. The folks who got the type C, the rarest one, immediately got offers for $300,000 for them.
Holy.
Wow. Yeah. And the basic mutants themselves right now, they also go for something like, I think, 3.5 to 4 ETH. So even if you got the lowest one, you got a 4 Ether airdrop, essentially. And there's an assumption that there's going to be more drops for people who have a matching set of, dog, mutant, and original or whatever. But anyway, like this kind of community-driven universe expansion where you continuously reward your community, but also allow new community members to come in, like they did with these mutant apes. So because these apes are basically new apes of a lower tier, there are now 20,000 mutant apes and 10,000 original apes. So you basically have 20,000 more users in here potentially.
Wow.
And so by using the hype of free airdrops, free future airdrops and exclusive access, which meets with a slowly expanding community, you can get a really nice cult following and organic growth that establishes a project long term. They also do some exclusive drops now and then where you can actually, only if you have an ape, you can buy some ape merch that's physical merch. So hoodies, hats, even rugs for rug pulls. But you can only buy those if you have an ape, and you can only access the web shop if you have an ape. So these exclusives, they are what drives a community, and I think this is only going to develop further into the metaverse. So as metaverses become functional beyond what's out there right now, which is only Decentraland, we will see a lot of fun stuff emerge and a lot of access-driven rooms where you can only enter if you have a certain type of avatar or NFT in your inventory. And then furthermore, as more NFT standards adopt what we've built at Remark, you will be able to enter some spaces with your constant avatar, so like a canary bird or an ape, but to enter, I don't know, the Karura yacht, you need to have the Karura headband. And so these access items would actually become coveted, whereas the actual avatar would be, like an extension of yourself. You would not be gambling with it anymore. You could then pick your avatar and then customize that avatar with permissions that you want, rather than try and get access by getting an avatar that you might not like but have to buy because it's more powerful or cheaper or whatever else. So I think gaming is where it's at. And once the first game comes out that has true integration of NFTs into the metaverse, similar to what Decentraland has right now. Like if you have some gear, you can equip it onto your in-game avatar. So there are and if you're a part of some projects, like for example, if you have an ape, you can get airdropped a Decentraland ape hoodie, and then you can wear that on your in-game avatar, the Decentraland ape hoodie. And this is where it's at. So this kind of metaverse expansion is what's going to take the world by storm once more interactivity is added into these games, and once they are no longer in browser only. Because this, like, if you have a VR game or any 3D game in the browser, it's by default going to look like garbage, and it's not going to be very performant, and you're not going to be able to do much advanced stuff with it. So yeah, this is where I think it's going to go.
So how many years out do you think we are from metaverses being widely adopted and widely participated in?
No more than 5 for sure.
Mm.
No more than 5. I think we have some good contenders. Good competition is necessary. Decentraland is the first and the only working one. Sandbox is allegedly coming close to a launch of some kind, but their graphics are also garbage because they're in the browser. So they're going to be basically identical to Decentraland. BitCountry looks better, but it's again a remix of the same thing, basically Minecraft and low poly pixel-based graphics. Then there's Evolution Land by Darwinia, which is more isometric and 2D, which is what I like for the browser, but their implementation is I found lacking in performance and just UX and UI. But I think that's just something that has to be ironed out. So I think they've got a good idea there. But actually, it's something I have the most hopes for, and that's a project that I've been trying to build for a few years now. You can read about it on valhello.app, so it's like Valhalla, only it's Valhello. And that's like in the old days when graphics were scarce, you would have MUDs, so multi-user dungeons, where you would input text as commands to what you were doing, and the program would tell you as text what's going on around you. And that's how I learned English, basically, by just reading text from these RPGs. And so it would tell you, like, you're in a dark room, there's a, like a moist ceiling that's dripping with some sort of algae, and there's something glitters in the dark. And then you would literally type in, explore the dark, like move towards the dark and stuff like that. And then you would encounter somebody else in that room, like a multiplayer, and you would just type, say hello, and your character would say hello, and then you type, punch this guy, and you'd punch this guy. And if you make it like this, so something like Loot-like in simplicity, and then allow others to build UIs on top of this, then what you end up is a truly multi-platform metaverse that others can interpret as they wish. And so somebody can then build an isometric view of that game. Somebody else can build a 3D view of that game. Somebody else can build it so that it's purely text-based and mobile-friendly and so on. And so, but by doing this, everybody's playing the same thing, only in a different visual representation. And so with this, you can truly use all of the various platforms, NFTs, and combine all of these universes together if you abstract it this way. So this is something that I'm excited about.
And so when you were building Remark, you were making the building blocks that would make digital ownership in these sort of worlds possible. Is that right?
Yeah, it kind of defaulted towards a game because games are the most complex pieces of software you can build. There's no software more complex than an RPG. Nowhere. Like rocket science is less complex. Like building an AI engine that can drive through the streets on its own is less complex than building a game. It's like games are insanely complex. And so just by thinking about the most complex game that you can think of, we started to think in the direction of how can we make this work without smart contracts? How can we build this in a way that you have the base building blocks from which to construct this game without having to custom code a ton of smart contracts or Rust? And if you put these NFT Legos together that we've built, this is what you get. And it's just one NFT built around another NFT, built around another NFT, built around another NFT. And this system really lets you build the thing that I just mentioned. So if you have a system in which NFTs can own other NFTs and at the same time equip them to change their visual output or just functionality, then you have the system of having a metaverse and having NFT-based plots of land. And if a plot of land is an NFT, that means that plot of land can own other NFTs. And if I own the piece of land, then I also own that land's NFTs. And so you have real estate ownership and, plot management. And then if I own an avatar, then I also own that avatar's backpack, and that backpack owns some items. And so I have a nested structure of item mechanics and in-game characters, all based on this one NFT Lego. And then the other Lego is multi-resource NFTs, where you can have multiple resources in a single NFT, like different outputs based on a certain context. So I always use the example of the ebook, where if you have an ebook NFT, that NFT can have an audio file or a PDF file or a high resolution cover. And if you load it into a Kindle, it'll just open the PDF reader. And if you load it into Audible, it'll just play you the book. But it's the same NFT with different outputs that depend on context. And so you can further extend that to make items equipable on characters. So an item like an NFT can have one resource that is shown to you when you're browsing it in the marketplace, another resource that is shown when you actually equip it in a character's left hand, and another resource that is shown for the right hand. And that's how Canaria works, where you have a fireman's axe and you can equip it in your left wing or your right wing, and it'll look different. It'll be in a different position with a different angle and a different size. And you can then extend that to games. And in fact, if you build a game with an isometric view, you can actually make an avatar have multiple resources, where one resource is the avatar facing up, the other one is an avatar facing down, and so on. And then your avatar itself has self-contained graphics for how it should be rendered in that game. And it can be automatically rendered. So that's another Lego. And when you put those together, you get a very powerful system. But then you can extend that even further with other Legos that we built. And so there are these 5 primitives that when you put them together just allow you to build a really intricate and complex system without becoming overly intricate and too complicated. And in fact, you'll see that with Canaria out and fully using this system of art Legos, this NFT Legos, there's this little renegade offshoot team that formed that is already forming like a counter Canaria project, where they will actually create characters that can interact with or consume unhatched Canaria eggs. And this is based on Remark, and they will also have equipables and so on. And they did this without us giving them any instructions or anything. They just played around with the protocol and it works. So I think once we launch this in a much more approachable way, we'll see like a really huge explosion of these complicated projects that will expand their universes in a lot of different directions, but will maintain compatibility with each other.
You said complex systems. I mean, this is a very good point. I mean, what you talk about makes absolutely perfect sense. But for most of the people out there, it's not graspable. I mean, they don't understand it. I mean, I've spent some time in the NFT world, and for me, everything you say is still hard to understand, even though I looked into everything and I'm working on it on a daily basis. But still, it's very hard to understand. Where do you see, I mean, real life adoption with NFTs starting to really take off?
I think we'll start with demonstrating properly each element of these Legos that I mentioned. So we'll demonstrate it on really creative examples. If you're an artist who is minting movies, then you can just have 2 resources. One resource is like a cover art for that movie, and the other is the actual movie. And suddenly you can have them publish an NFT movie that has cover art and that has the actual movie. And so this is understandable to most people. Then we will publish an audio platform where you can actually publish where podcasts will be published. Once you publish a podcast as an NFT, you can then extract sound bites from that podcast, and they will be child NFTs of that podcast. And so this is like an interesting use case for provenance, where you can prove that somebody said something by just, linking to the NFT of that sound bite in that podcast. But it also becomes a very interesting collectible game if you imagine, owning all the instances, all the sound bites where Joe Rogan said, "That's crazy." Or maybe you can turn it into a prediction market where you actually bet on whether or not Joe Rogan's going to mention DMT in a podcast, or how many times. And so you end up with these interesting mechanics that are created from audio files. Or even better, if you mint an NFT that's an empty music sheet and other people mint notes into that music sheet, you can end up with a community collaborated composition that can distribute royalties from its sales to everybody who participated in the composition. But, for these types of things to be demonstrable, we need to build really simple UIs that demonstrate this functionality. And that'll spur the imagination and mainstream adoption, I think.
Well, Valentine, you work in the video game industry and you have a successful collection on Singular. How does all this talk of what's going to be possible in the future make you feel about your collection? Does it give you any ideas for how you might augment it in the future?
We are living in the very beginning. The world is changing and technology are developing, and there is a lot of interesting projects going on around. This thing which is developing by Bruno and his team, it's actually like the future. The future, and the gaming will be different, totally different with this kind of things. There is ideas like conceptually in my head about this, like child NFTs, because I don't want to just to sell some pictures. You should find some people who can help you with that. Like, for example, some developer or some artist who can do 3D, and there is like lots of possibilities.
Yeah, but also it's really important to kind of abstract and hide all the blockchain speak from people to get real mainstream adoption. So in terms of gaming, for example, all that will change for people is they will now have the ability to take their equipment, their character equipment, their skins into their digital wallet and maybe into another game, and that's it. But other than that, they will feel the exact same experience, and that's I think how we'll get to the masses.
So Bruno, I would have a question. I mean, we are talking about the future and what NFTs might do in the future and in the crypto world, and how they might adapt to real life people who just play a video game. And you come up with the Remark 2, where you implement all these future steps. There's artists out there and artists coming onto Singular who create something, some sort of art, draw a picture or something, and they just mint it as an NFT. So they are pretty much in the beginning of their journey. And I mean, you being a visionary, what would be your suggestion for those artists to not sleep on step 2.0, to make the transition onto Remark 2.0 and into the future, and maybe already start their NFT journey with being headed into this direction into the future?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I don't really have a good answer for that because it depends on what the artist wants, what their end goal is, what their creativity is like, what their technical expertise is. I would say unlearn what you know about NFTs, because everybody's NFT association is now an expensive image, and an image I can sell, or an image I can buy, or an image I can use on Twitter. It's not a very good association because it kind of boxes you in into a way of thinking. But if they instead think of an NFT being a piece of data that can own any other piece of data and display any piece of data, then you kind of have this wild card where anything becomes possible. Because if you try to build that collaborative music sheet thing on any other platform right now, you're not going to have a good time. Especially because it's really hard to put that into a contract and come up with it. But if you have these primitives at your disposal, it kind of becomes really easy to think about when you just think that one thing contains other things and that's it. And so I would say think of them as applications and think of them as really their own little ecosystems, their own little universes. You come up with what you want to build, and there's no direction I can give because there's no direction I want to give. I want people to come up with really crazy stuff that we haven't been able to come up with in our ideas post. So I want people to really use this for some, like mind-bending stuff. And for that, there's no real limit to the art. Like here's an example. Somebody can buy a little plot of land in front of some popular spot in the real world somewhere. They can make a little statuette be on that spot that has an e-paper ink display. And this is for all intents and purposes a really kind of experimental art project, right? And so you can connect that e-paper display to e-ink display to the internet, where it reads from an NFT. But what you can also do is, and this is where Remark comes in, that NFT can actually have a slot for an ad. And you can then sell that slot for an ad, but also arbitrage tax it. And so what does that mean? That means that if you buy that slot, you can put anything you want into it, and it'll get displayed on that e-paper ink display. But you have to pay 1% of that purchase price per week in tax That's the harbinger tax. Or if you default on that, if you fail to pay that 1 week, then it just defaults back to the original owner, to the original price, and anybody else can scoop it up. But at the same time, while you own that little billboard, anybody else can scoop in and buy it from you if they pay 10% above the price that you paid. And so there's an interesting game mechanic at play where you can own a thing that has really big exposure in the real world as an NFT, but anybody else can swoop in and take it from you and have their message put up there, but has to continue paying the tax. And now the tax can go to lobbying efforts or charity or even the maker of the NFT, who cares? But it's an interesting concept that would be really hard to do in a generic way on Ethereum, but it becomes very easy with Remark. So this is kind of like you have to stop thinking and like, I'm going to launch the next 10K collection of pictures. No more of that. Just, start thinking about it in terms of what these pieces can form in terms of a whole that's greater than the sum of its pieces.
I think I saw on Twitter, Bruno, you saying that Remark 2.0 is ready, but you just don't have a front end for it, or you're hoping it was going to get built, I guess, at the hackathon coming up.
Yeah, it's ready. It's live. Canaria birds are using Remark 2.0. You can equip and unequip their items, sell their items, and so on. But we didn't port these features into Singular yet, so not everybody can use them. And the hardest part about this is building a UI for constructing these complex nested NFTs. Once we've ironed that out and tested some more, once these features mature on Canaria's UI, we'll just port them over to Singular. We would like to do it at the same time as royalties and bidding, so that we really upgrade Singular at once. And that's what we're working on right now. But essentially, anybody can already build a Remark 2.0 project, and they just need to build a custom UI for it.
That was going to be my next question about auctions and royalties. I know a lot of people are always asking about that, but do you have any information of when that's going to be available?
We are hoping that royalties for Remark 1 NFTs that are on Singular right now will be available next month. Now, this might come at the same time as bids, but probably not, because bids have a more complex mechanic that usually requires smart contracts. And if you require smart contracts, it means it needs a lot more workarounds on the no smart contracts end, which is what Kusama is right now. So we're not sure, but the royalties will for sure be there in October, if not sooner. And that's for Remark 1. Now for Remark 2, we have no idea, because for Remark 2, when one NFT owns other NFTs, how do you divide those royalties? And that's an active area of research and a very big problem that still needs solving.
And the royalties for Remark 1, that would be on all new NFTs minted after that was released. We can't put these retroactively on old items, right?
You will be able to if you become the owner of the NFT you issued. Oh. So if you get it back, even if you get it back for just 5 minutes, then you can apply royalties to it and send it back. And from then on, it will have royalties.
That would be nice, but I think I can't get a hold of my apes anymore.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. That's a tricky one.
I'll send you back Tropical J, bud.
Woohoo!
But there's like always the chance that your collectors will want to give you this opportunity because they want to support you, and so they will just lend it back to you just to apply the royalties. To them, there's no effect.
Yeah, that's nice. Maybe that will happen sometime in the future, somehow.
All right, so we're just about out of time here, but I wanted to ask the three of you, because all three of you have created something out of nothing. You had ideas, you turned it into reality, and I'm wondering if you have any advice for me and for all of the listeners. How would you advise somebody to turn an idea, a dream, into something that other people can enjoy?
That's really interesting, because I found myself in the position where I thought, okay, where or how do I want to do this, or what do I want to achieve with this? And I have a sentence in my mind that says, if you create value, there's gonna be money coming into later. But first you have to create some sort of value and give something to the people before you can start charging for a product. For example, when a company makes advertisement, they first pay for the advertisement, and then they can harvest their earnings later on when the product is sold. And this was the drive behind my purpose of my NFT line, was to give a sort of a mascot to the DAO that I became a member of pretty early on. And just to give the people in the DAO some sort of badge, or pretty much a mascot to show, hey, I'm a member of the DAO. And only later on, it's developed into a successful NFT line. But this also happened because the people that I took on board in the very beginning liked the idea, liked the companionship, and liked the community behind it. And this is something I value a lot. And this is also why, for example, the apes or the Twitter page only follows apes. Like I want to build a tribe. I want to build a community which shares the same values and also shares the values of the Chaos DAO. So I transformed that over to my NFT line, and that's working great. So for me, the main drive behind it all was building and promoting and giving value to other people. So that was my motivation behind it.
I totally agree with money in that case, like filling your Kusama wallet. It's like B product, actually. And you contribute to community. Actually, building a community around your work, it's amazing. You should be also empathic to the people, not just trying to sell some bullshit to them. Try to get all their money. You should want to give them some value, some interesting stuff to do, because now with this we will give away this ghostly card, THC card, and actually I got 150 requests. People filled the form and they actually wrote their addresses and wrote their emails, and it means that they trust and they love the collection. It is actually inspiring.
Thank you. And Bruno, your CV is staggering. How do you do it?
No sleep, no social life, no care for self. No, it's I don't know. I just there's this comic where of two programmers where one's hammering away at a fence or something, and the other one comes up to him and says, "Oh, you have a new side project, huh?" And he says, "Yep." And then the camera zooms out, and there's 1,000 half-built houses and a billion collapsed fences, and that's kind of how it feels. I've had 24 projects, and maybe 3 or 4 dozen projects, and maybe 30 of those are just half-built fences that toppled over. Just keep pumping stuff out. Whatever you're passionate by, just make it, just build it. Just don't think about it too hard, just do it. This is how I made Remark. In the past, I usually, when I had an idea, I would think about it too hard, try to put it on paper, try to, come up with a good, I'd spend weeks on a good domain name, on a good design and something, and 2 months later, I would, just be browsing Twitter and see somebody built it. So if you have an idea, just do it. Just drop everything, do it, risk things. If you can't risk things, then work 20-hour days like I did for the first 6 months of Remark. But it's like, if you're passionate about something, just do it, and if you build it, they will come. I'm happy, I'm really proud to say that we have had great success at Remark without having to bribe any influencers, without having to pay any YouTubers, without having to pay any TikTokers, without having to do any paid promotion at all. We have a fairly decent, passionate community of a decent size. We have good volume on our marketplaces with zero promotion, zero marketing. And so now that we've established that people do come because of the tech and because of the passion for the ecosystem and the possibilities that we give them, now we can start with the marketing and with the other stuff, because we know we have something good. So I think, if you have an idea that's good, just drop everything and build it. Just do it. Just ship. He who ships wins.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Bruno, thank you very much for joining us today. Valentine, you as well. It was a pleasure meeting you and hearing your perspective. Moonby, do you have anything you want to say to wrap this up?
Just that I'm incredibly happy to have all these informations in one podcast or in this space we are floating in right now. It's incredible. It should be a must see or must listen to anyone who's dabbling into NFTs, who's looking to create NFTs, or who's looking to buy NFTs to choose which collection might bear value in the future or right now. And just to get a bit more familiar with the whole space and Remork 2.0, and maybe also look behind what it is right now. Imagine what it could be in the future. Imagine what your friends, your family, relatives, or whoever might have in NFTs in the future. Like, not a picture, it's not a JPEG, it's way, way more than that. And I would urge anyone to just look into it and think about what might be possible in the future.
Yep, well said.
Thank you very much, Minbi. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Space Monkeys podcast. There's going to be links below to everybody's socials and as well as some of the NFTs we talked about, so make sure you check them out. And we'll be blasting off again soon on another topic. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jay. Bye.
Have a nice day. Have a nice night.